Thank you, Patty, for the kind words about the Heresies program. I'm really happy Matt was able to join me and do that together. Hopefully, there might be some collaboration in the future, but I'd have to reach out. One of the fun things that we got to do, right, with the Christian Heresies was really show how a number of these heretical views became part of the Islamic Jesus. And one of the things that I was going to mention, Muhammad's early education, in terms of understanding prophecies and their import, came from Ebionites, right? So these were Judaizer Christians, right? They followed a lot of the Jewish laws. And those Judaizers accordingly gave Muhammad an impression of Christianity that should be following the traditional laws. And one of the places, St. John doesn't note it, but one of the things that people today commonly note is that the Quran teaches that Muslims have the permission to eat food prepared by a Jew or by a Christian. And for anybody who knows Christian dietary habits and Muslim dietary habits, they would know immediately that that doesn't work out very well. And the reason that Muhammad probably said something like that when the Quran was being revealed was that the Christians that he had experience with were Judaizers. They were following the laws of kashrut that were set down in the Bible. And so the food of Jews and the food of Christians would both have been acceptable to Muslims. They wouldn't have contained pork or shellfish or other things that, well, pork is really the big one that Muslims are not permitted to eat. Shellfish is more of a Sunni Shiite issue. But yeah, and it's really nice to see some new members showing up. And I've actually been to your fair city, Ottawa. It was a while ago. It was in 2016, but it was a beautiful city. I remember walking along the river. Yeah, and there's a comment about the Pauline epistles. Again, I'm not really an expert in early Christianity, even a lay expert, but the Pauline epistles basically were working to remove the Judaizing elements within Christianity and also to secure the position that Jesus was both man and God. So what you end up seeing in those epistles is his decrying of sects that did something else, did either saw Jesus as human, saw Jesus as God only, saw Jesus as instantiating a requirement for all believers to adopt Jewish customs. There's a variety of these sorts of behaviors, and Paul's letters sort of work against that. And in fact, most of the heresies that we know because the heresiologists, as they're called, the individuals of the United Church who wrote on heresies, wrote about them and wrote against them. So, of course, we only see bits and pieces of their arguments, and we don't necessarily see a steel-manned version of their argument because that's not the easiest to argue against. And the canonical Gospels, some of them come after Paul's letters. Certainly, Paul's letter to the Galatians is the earliest known text. That's from about 50 CE. And I think Mark's Gospel is from a little bit later, like 60 or 70. John, I think, is from 130. But there are epistles that come from a little bit later. So not quite as late as John, but a little bit later. And yeah, the United Church brought together the four main gospels that were being taught across the different heresies and within the United Church as well.